Do you have the video?
Yes, I do.
All right, we're gonna have you take a look at this and tell us what you think about it.
See, they already started with a trick.
You see that? You see that? You said ask you whatever.
All right, let's go for it.
But before we pull up video, what year did you start policing?
1992.
1992. So there was these guys, NWA. You know NWA?
No.
Okay, so they had a group with Ice Cube, and there was a big song in the 80s. Do you remember it?
Nope.
Something about F the police. Remember that song?
Vaguely. Okay.
You know what I'm talking. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not on your playlist.
Right,
is what I'm saying.
right.
But there was that song, and I recently, well, I don't want to say recently because you'll tell by the video that I met Ice Cube.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was a part of that group in the NWA. So, you remember the song how it went?
Vaguely.
No? All right, but you
Yeah.
the hook was basically, and babe, you got the thing to bleep it out?
And
Okay.
Now he is.
Go ahead.
Now he plays a cop on TV.
He plays a cop on TV. But the lyrics of the song, get ready to bleep it out. It was F the police. Babe, you didn't bleep it.
But how do I believe it?
Can you?
I haven't heard it yet.
But the song was fuck the. So wait, hold on. So I got him to say he's gonna do a remix.
Okay.
All right. So this is me with a lot of hair.
How you doing? I'm all right, man. Hey, listen. Everyone was asking me for you to do the remix of the police. They want to say, love the police. yeah, we definitely, we love the police. Come on, man. Especially the good ones like my man right here. All right. Hey, what's up, man? Love the police. remix. Love the police.
All right. So I think I found your theme song.
Love the police.
When you become sheriff, love the police. What do you think?
And get him to come in and do it?
And we'll get him to come in and do it. What
All
do
right.
you think?
You can take the lead. Reach out to him.
That's it. I already wrote my lyrics down.
Okay.
Yeah. You want to hear them?
Go ahead.
Love the police coming straight from Miami. Patrolling the beach and the streets where it's sandy. And then I take the sand and I go like this. Looking for people out here mean mugging. I pull up in my car and then I start hugging. And then like I hug the guy. I go, man, how you doing? Everything all right? And then I start cruising. Because it's on to the next block.
Are we taping?
Yeah. Come on, man. It's like, let's go. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nick.
All right, Iggy Alvarez, Ignacio. Hey, what are we running by on the ballot so they can find you?
I'm first,
Yeah.
which is the easiest part.
Mhm.
Ignacio Iggy Alvarez.
Okay, so boom, there you go. So if you don't know, we have Miami-Dade Sheriff candidate in the house, and he has a new theme song.
Love the police.
That's it. So, man, history in the making. The first time in, and I think I said it wrong the last podcast, but the first time in like 60 plus years, right?
Correct. 67 years, I think it is.
67 years, but who's counting that we're going to have an elected sheriff?
Correct.
How important is that for Miami-Dade County?
That's a great question because this is the first time that most of the community is going to be able to select who runs the police department in their lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
I'm less than 67. You are, of course.
Yeah.
The vast majority of the community is, and then we'll remember the last time we picked a sheriff.
Yeah.
The difference today is that the mayor is the one selecting who's going to run the department.
Right.
Starting January 2025, it's going to be the community, and the community is going to have a say, and the sheriff is going to report directly to that community.
That's good. So the people that are going to hold them responsible is no longer those board of commissioners and the mayor. It is the people.
Correct. So, you still have to work with the board
Yeah.
and the mayor because they're the ones that ultimately approve the budget.
Yeah.
So you need to have a relationship with that commission and with that mayor in order for the budget times. But you still report directly to the community.
But if you mess up, who's gonna not vote you in?
The community.
Exactly.
Right.
So I didn't want to overlook. This is huge for because there's so much going on. We're making history all over this podcast. But I want to introduce my DJ over there, DJ Bae, my lovely assistant. There she is. She's AKA the wife, but I don't want to call her Babe throughout the podcast. So I called her DJ Bae, the lovely assistant.
Ah, okay.
The lovely assistant.
DJ
Hi.
Bay.
Hello.
And what do we call you? What do we call you? My wife.
We'll go
next to her.
Go ahead. We don't have a
be
mic. We don't
DJ
have
Bay.
we don't have a mic, but apparently we went to high school, same high school together.
Yes.
Cooper City Cowboys.
You have the hat?
No. You know the mascot name? Pistol Pete. Pistol Pete. I played baseball there. We were almost state champions. We got beat.
Soccer?
Soccer, all right. Baseball, soccer. Look at that. You a big sports guy?
I watch sports. I did not play sports. I played soccer 1 year, my junior year. That's it.
Dolphins fan?
Yes,
Heat fan?
of course,
Panthers fan?
of course.
What about the Miami? The soccer one, international.
Inter-America?
Inter-America.
Yes.
Thanks
She
for helping
loves.
me out.
My wife loves that team.
Messi or what's the one? Beckham? She's Beckham.
Yeah.
So you kind of got a Beckham look going on. So big stuff going on here. Miami-Dade Sheriff election, 60 plus years. How's the campaign going for you so far? And how long have you been on it so far?
I declared in the beginning of October.
Mm-hmm.
You have 14 candidates on the Republican side. You have another 3 or 4 on the Democrat side.
Ooh,
so
packed house.
it's a packed house.
Yeah.
And it's all about working it every day, meeting people, getting your name out. I think one of the things that I've enjoyed the most in this campaign is all the new people I have met.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to require a lot of work.
Yeah.
And it's going to require convincing people to come out and vote because it's going to be party specific on August 20th, where the Republicans would choose who their candidate is going to be. The Democrats will choose who their candidate is going to be. And we end up on the November presidential ballot.
All right. And then it's a runoff until then, right? So then they get the 2 candidates. So essentially they're whittling it down to 1 for Republican, 1 for Democrat.
Correct.
And then come election time when the presidential, that's a big ballot to be on with the president, right?
Correct.
And we wouldn't know otherwise, right? Because it's first time in 66 years.
I think people are going to get excited about this starting in April, because obviously on Tuesday we have the president primary.
Yeah.
And then in the beginning of April, you have a bunch of cities throughout Dade County doing an election. After that, I believe the sheriff's race is going to be front and center because it's going to be one of the most important races that's going to be occurring this year.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of history. Like, I just keep going back to that.
Correct.
Man. 67 years.
Correct.
All right. Well, now that we got that out of the way, why don't we find out a little bit about you? What agency did you work for before? Because as of recently, in the last, 7 years ago, you retired?
I retired December 2017.
All right. So it's about 7, right?
Correct.
Do the math, right?
It's 6.5.
Okay. And you're also
Practicing attorney.
Exactly. That's why you were like, no, specific. I'm trying to work in that gray area, man.
Okay.
The laughter. See how that helps? She thinks I'm funny. That's why it helps.
That's why you hired her.
Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Exactly. So let us know. Let's find out who you are, where you work for, when did you retire, what you're doing currently.
Okay.
I'm going to let you take the floor on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a nice open question.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you before, I started in 1992 as a police officer. I was 21 years old. I went to, I lived in Miami-Dade County. I went to school in Miami-Dade County. I went to Belen Jesuit in Miami-Dade County. I think the joke is with my wife because in Broward, when you ask somebody what school you went to, you talk about colleges. In Miami, when you ask what school you went to, you talk about high schools.
Yes, high school is a big thing in Miami.
Correct.
I noticed that.
I went to Belen.
Yeah.
And from there,
Mascot.
Wolverines.
There you go. I'm testing.
Yeah.
All right.
So I've always wanted to be a police officer, even when I was in high school. So at 21 years old, I applied.
Mm-hmm.
I had gone to Miami-Dade, got my AA degree. I applied, immediately got accepted, went through academy, and been a cop for 25 and a half years with the Miami-Dade Police Department.
And how was that?
I loved every second.
Yeah.
The department is a family, and they took care of the family, and I have zero regrets.
Nice.
It's large enough where you are able to do a lot of different things. You hear a lot of candidates telling you, I'm the most qualified, or I've done everything in leadership or in policing, but they don't explain you what they've done because they haven't.
Mm-hmm.
I've had the opportunity to go through every single rank from officer all the way to major, and then be a major for 8 years. At the same time, go back to school and got my bachelor's degree, got my master's degree, and got my law degree, all graduated at the top of my class.
When you were a major?
When I was a sergeant is when I got my bachelor's degree and my master's degree. As a lieutenant, while working full-time and having a family, I went back and got my law degree.
I don't think people understand how hard that is.
Working 40 hours a week,
Yeah.
raising a family, and then going to law school, which is in 3.5 years, right down the street in Nova.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
Yeah.
But it's all about hard work.
Mhm.
It's about putting the effort in so you can have a successful career. So as an officer, I started up in Northwest District, and I moved on to the gang unit. I was in gangs investigations for almost 4 years before I got promoted to sergeant. And sergeant, I went to what's now considered Miami Gardens. Back then it was called the Carroll City Station. And I was on the road, and then I was also in general investigative unit. So I was a sergeant in charge of one of the investigative units. When I graduated with my master's degree, I was moved to the training bureau to teach professional training to law enforcement. Got promoted to lieutenant. I got sent to communications as the afternoon shift commander for a couple months, and then sent back to the training bureau as their executive officer pretty much for the rest of my time as a lieutenant. When I graduated from law school, I was taking my final exam and taking my Florida bar exam at the same time, because I like working hard. At the same time, I took my promotional exam. So I became an attorney, and I became a captain around the same time.
Man.
So I was a captain for a short while up in Northwest District and immediately made major. And for 8 years, I was in a management position, starting off with being police chief for the town of Miami Lakes. Then I went to the courts and the warrants bureau, managing those 2 units, which involved the security of the courts and all the papers that judge asked us to enforce, and looking for the guys that were wanted at the same time, the warrant section. Then I was moved to Northwest District. In Northwest District, I was there for 4 years as a district commander, working closely with the community, working closely with the local politicians, which at the time was, my commissioner was now Mayor Bovo. And you also had Rene Garcia, you had Manny Diaz, you had a lot of people at that time, but local political leaders. And then what was so important about that was you hear a lot of candidates talk about plans. I have a plan for this. I have a plan for that. I did it. And while I was there, having the relationships with the local politicians, the local community leaders, and the local business leaders, we were able to drop crime over 25%. After 4 years there, I moved to the Special Victims Bureau. And that's probably one of the toughest units you can have, because you have domestic violence, you have sexual battery, you have human trafficking, you have child exploitation, you have the kidnappings, a lot of the family-related type of crimes, which is at the same time the crime that occurs in that area was very disgusting. Some of the things they would do to kids, and sexual assaults and that type of thing. But I was the major in charge of that at the time when I finally retired after 25 and a half years. After I retired, I opened up my own law practice with my wife, and we've been growing year over year. Right now, we're close to 13 members in the firm, and we do a little bit of everything from litigation to real estate to corporate representation to business consulting to immigration to representing individuals in the federal criminal charges. I don't do everything. I'm the civil litigator, but we have attorneys in the firm that cover a lot of different areas. And it's gone very well year over year. So I was very happy with that. And then fast forward to today.
Yeah.
Everybody asked me, which is what I'm assuming is going to be your next question. So I'm gonna help you.
It's like you've done this before.
Yeah. So the question that all my friends ask me, which you're gonna ask me next, is why are you doing this?
That's not true. I was gonna ask you if you're gonna wear a cowboy hat if you become sheriff.
No cowboy hat.
Look at that.
No cowboy hat.
But you know what? I was gonna ask you that anyways. So yes, you're right. Correct. So
we could discuss a cowboy hat later.
Okay, go ahead.
Why am I doing this?
Yes.
I think for me, I'm not retired. I'm not bored. I'm not looking for power. I'm doing very well in my business. I don't need this.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it because I am that concerned. When you look at the list of people that are running, you got officers. You got an officer from Florida Highway Patrol. You got other officers from City of Miami. No disrespect at all, but you got officers from City of Miami, Miami-Dade Police Department. You got sergeants. You got lieutenants. People with zero experience who can run a department that has $1 billion budget and 4,700 employees. That's huge. That's a huge organization.
Yeah.
And when I was looking at the list of people that were running or were thinking about running, I was disgusted to the sense that I told my wife, listen, rather than saying that we're unhappy, we need to do something. Yeah. And I jumped into the ring, and that's why I'm running. Because we need somebody day one that can be sheriff day one. You have a lot of candidates that like experience matters, or or we need somebody who's prepared, somebody who's ready. There's a lot of different things that are being said. There's slogans, like they're resting their laurels on those slogans. Difference is I'm the candidate they're talking about, because I'm the one that has the 25 years worth of experience. I own my own business, so I have that business management experience. And I'm an attorney. I'm a practicing attorney. I'm in the courts every single day. So I have the other side of the law that I'm learning, and relationships with the courts, with the judges, and learning that side of the law. That's what's going to make me prepared to be sheriff day one, and that's why I'm doing it.
All right. This interview's over. No, I'm just kidding.
So now we can talk about the hat. You want to talk about the hat?
No, man. I mean, it was a question I was going to ask you. Why are you jumping in? And you kind of just made the statement of, like, I saw the names that were in the race, right, and I was like, man, I think that I'd be better qualified to.
I think I'm better qualified.
I mean, you said disgusted.
I was disgusted by the list.
Yeah.
And this is too important. This is the first time we're electing a sheriff in 67 years. Whoever's taking this over is going to organize this new entity.
Yeah.
It's going to lead us into the future.
Mm-hmm.
We need somebody that can do that day one.
Yeah.
Not somebody that was a trooper.
Yeah.
Not somebody has zero management experience. We need somebody who day one can go into an organization that treat it like a business, not like a government, but treat it like a business. They can go in and do this job. It's that important to me because my wife is pregnant. I'm concerned about my son. I'm concerned about, I have a daughter. I'm concerned about my grandkids, future grandkids. I don't have any right now, but future. I'm concerned about the community. And that's why I'm doing this.
Yeah, the position itself is extremely powerful. It could sway Miami-Dade County as far as crime increasing, things of that nature happening. And it's important that the person at the helm is able and has that ability to do the job.
Correct.
Yeah, because there's a lot riding on this. And
someone who's going to fight the liberal policies that they're going to want to instill down here that they have done in other cities. We cannot allow that. We cannot allow cashless bail. They tried that 2 years ago. We have to have a strong Republican that's going to stand up for law and order and make sure that we do that every single day.
Yeah, so that's what I think you already mentioned something about that earlier on, but there is two parties that, well, I don't know if there's nobody independent running, right? I think at this point there isn't. So there's Republicans and Democrats. Obviously, you have the shirt to say Republican for sure. You're running on the Republican
and
side.
I also endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police. I'm the only candidate endorsed by a police union running in Miami-Dade County.
All right, so that's huge.
Right,
Fraternal Order of Police and the other one's the PBA. So to have Fraternal Order of Police, how early on was that?
Couple months ago, they came out and endorsed me, and now I live in the city of Coral Gables, and I work. And that's where my law office is at. Just last week, the Coral Gables Police Department came out and endorsed me,
all right,
which is also big. Miami Beach also has come out. City of Miami has come out. So even though the Fraternal Order of Police covers all those departments, it's good to get the individual. Hey, I believe in you, so I want to say something too.
All right. Well, later on in the podcast, we are gonna do some. I'm gonna put you in the hot seat. See how good you are.
I'm not there yet.
No. It's gonna get hot. I'm gonna change the lights to red. Whoo! Turn up the AC. Whoo! It's gonna get hot here. You see that laugh track?
Yeah.
But we are going to take a short break, and then when we come back, we'll get into some of those questions. We'll also continue the conversation.
Perfect.
My name is Ignacio Alvarez, but my friends call me Iggy. I'm a candidate for sheriff of Miami-Dade County. I have 25 years of law enforcement experience, and I'm currently an attorney who runs a successful business. I look forward to earning your vote. I stand for law and order, and I will be tough on crime while putting the taxpayers first.
Let's go into some combos.
Okay. You ready?
Let's go into some questions.
Okay. Where are the red lights? Where's the heat? Oh, you made promises in the last break and you haven't done anything. So go ahead.
Can you get
Go ahead, Nick.
How about that hot seat now, Iggy?
Let's do it.
Welcome to the hot seat, where guests come to get canceled. Oh, wow. That's loud. That was loud.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, my God.
You don't have any notes on your piece of paper, so
they're
where are
right
these
here.
questions? All right.
They're right here.
All right, so I can't cheat.
Actually,
I can't cheat and see what's on your notebook.
They're on my phone. I'm gonna get like in the dominoes. You know, when you put dominoes like that where you can't see the other.
Yeah.
This is it. You play dominoes? All right.
Yes, I do.
All right.
If you want to lose your money, let me know.
Oh, does Iggy get jiggy? You like to dance?
Yeah, not really.
Not really.
I'm
All right.
not
What kind of
dancer.
music do you like?
Music?
Yeah.
I like Western music. I like classical. I like what?
Country music or
Yeah,
Western music?
country music.
Okay,
Country.
okay.
Country music.
Mm-hmm. I like country music. My wife, huge country music fan.
Yes, I am.
One guy in particular, kind of the David Beckham effect over there.
That's funny.
He who shall not be named.
Okay.
What's his name?
Morgan Wallen.
Just burns me every time, Iggy. Burns me every time.
So is he coming on the show?
We'll have to see about that.
I'm gonna ask you some questions. All
I've
right.
been saying that for the last 5 minutes. Come on.
Yeah. Well, we've been talking. You've been doing good. You've been doing good talking. You're a talker. I'll give you that. So these questions are kind of like scenarios. So when you become sheriff, then you can then explain how you would handle some of these things. And some of them are going on around the country, right?
Okay.
Hopefully you prevent that stuff. If you're sheriff, you can, nope, not happening here. And some things have actually happened locally. So let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
Round of applause.
Let's do it.
Hey, you got the joke one? Show them the joke one. Oh my God. Welcome to the shit show, Iggy. All right, here we go.
So are you going to do that after the first question?
Yeah, no. That depends on how you answer it. You might get
All right, so it's for me, not for you.
Oh, you're the guy answering the
Ah,
questions.
okay.
All right, here we go. So this one here, this is something that boils my blood. Let me move this out of the way. This is something that boils my blood, and we see it, and I'm a social media guy, all over social media. But these darn kids are out there with them street takeovers, man. Cars spinning out, burning rubber in these intersections, and then they're posting it up there. And that is just, it's a cancer because it continues to go more and more and more. They're getting views, so there's bigger, they go over the top, getting to a point where it's becoming violent, right?
Right.
Where they have shootings, they're assaulting officers. So these things are happening, and as a community member and somebody watching, also a law enforcement officer, right? But I'm looking at it from a community side. It portrays the South Florida, Miami-Dade County area is almost getting lawless, right? You got these officers here that are having a tough time controlling it, right? So as sheriff, how do you plan on coming in and handling these knuckleheads?
See, when I was a district commander for Northwest District, we had this issue on Okeechobee. So they'll come out on Okeechobee and drag race down in the middle of the night, down the curve, all the way down to the turnpike. And what we did back then was it was a twofold attack. One, again, using the resources of the community, using the resources available to us, i.e. using the Florida Highway Patrol, using other agencies like Hialeah Gardens in that area. We took proactive approach to stop it from occurring. But at the same time, all we're doing is moving it from location to location. So they'll go somewhere where there's no cops.
Right.
We need to find an outlet for them to do that. So the second thing that what's going on back then was that the old Opelika West Airport, which is by US 27 down by County Line, which is abandoned, they converted it to allow these individuals to drag race on that surface that was controlled.
It was Beat the Heat, right?
I don't remember what it was called, but it was controlled.
Yeah.
And I was very outspoken about that to make sure that there was the safety necessary so no one would get hurt.
Right.
But at least got them off the streets and gave them an area where they can do their activities.
Right.
So that's something, it should be a two-pronged approach. Number one, working on taking proactive approach to get them off our streets. And the only way we're going to do that is by looking at social media, looking how they get their messages out, trying to get somebody from the inside to get where the next location is going to be at so we can stop it. But at the same time, you need to give them an outlet because they're going to do it no matter what. The question is where they're going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you do give them the outlet, at least you look like, hey, I'm giving you this.
But in a safe, controlled area.
Right, but have you seen some of those tricks they've been doing?
Which is?
I mean, it's more so like just it's getting more brazen, right? So the time of day now is like they're doing it middays and things like that. But they're standing around the intersection and you got people recording.
Right.
And they're getting really close to these cars. So it's not like back in the day where they used to drag race, right? And they go. No, now it's like they're putting on a show. Cars spinning. Recently they lit a whole Jeep Wrangler. They had a stolen Jeep Wrangler, put it in the middle of the intersection, threw gas on it, lit it up on fire, and then they did donuts around there just for social media views, right? So,
and that's it. It's
Yeah.
for views. It's for clicks.
Mhm.
It's like the newspaper and the TV channels. They do stories for clicks. So how did they get there?
yeah,
How did they get the message to be at that location at that time?
Right.
And that's where we need to use the technology aspect of it to be able to infiltrate that, to understand where they're going to be at, so we can take that proactive approach. But again, we can provide them a location where they can still get their clicks and their video in a safe manner outside of the public, where they're not going to get hurt. And that's something that I would try to push for.
what about pits?
What is a pit?
Pit maneuver, precision, immobilization technique. I don't know if the county ever had that.
County
back
had
in the
it
day.
back in the day.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, what I was seeing in my old department, and I don't want to say my old department, when I was there, was a lot of times we managed by crisis. When something will occur,
Yeah.
it was a immediate reaction wasn't always the best reaction. I think that the pit maneuver is a maneuver that can be used as long as it's trained. You're trained in it and you know how to use it properly.
Yeah.
To stop an individual if you're chasing him, it has to be a violent felon.
Right.
So to stop a violent felon from getting away or possibly hurting a innocent civilian. I don't know how many times I would see a chase where the innocent family or innocent person will get hurt or will get killed.
Yeah.
You need to use the tools that you have in your training in order to stop that.
Yeah. So I agree with that. Like, there has to be a threshold as to when you can chase, and as we call it, balls to the wall, where it's like, no, we're chasing them till the wheels fall off because this is a homicide offender, because
Right.
this is a carjacking offender, and the crime meets the criteria. However, these guys that are out there, they're running every night from the cops, and that's what irks, right? So we're left as a law enforcement with limited tools when we get to a situation like this. Do you have the Can you pull up the grappler? Yeah, it's on my IG, or if you can, please.
But Nick, what's the message that's being put out? Oh,
You-
we're not going to chase.
yeah.
Oh, we need to be soft. We
Yeah.
need to do. We can't do that. It's law and order.
Right.
We're not going to allow this, and we're going to take actions to prevent it. And when that message gets out, these incidents will stop.
Yeah, we have to definitely like they promote. We have to promote once.
Correct.
Once got on the flatbed behind us. Hey, take a look at your car. Don't do this in my county.
Correct.
That's huge. It's there's just and you've been out there on the road. There's that problem that we have is the ability to either contain, stop, immobilize those vehicles because, like you said, they're just gonna run.
And again, that's where experience comes into play.
Yeah.
And that's why I keep on saying that experience does matter. For me, it's not just a slogan. I did it as an officer. I did it as a sergeant. I did it as a lieutenant. I did it as a captain. I did it as a major. So not only was I involved, like other candidates will tell you, I did all these specialized units. Yeah, I did them all as an officer.
Yeah.
But I also led those specialized units. And that's where that experience is how we're going to resolve these issues.
Okay, I like it. Anything you
Yeah,
go to YouTube.
I'm here.
You
Just
got
have
it.
to look at, yeah.
Yeah. So I have there's a tool, and I'm not sponsored. This is not sponsored by the tool, but I just see it as a resource, and not a lot of agencies know it. Locally, Hollywood Police Department, they deployed. They upfitted a couple of their vehicles. It's called the Grappler, right? So
I saw it. Yeah,
saw it?
I saw the
it
video.
was an armed robbery.
Right, and it ties up the wheel.
Yeah.
Correct.
Let's get some of those.
Listen, if we have a
Look, there you go, right there.
if
Bam.
we have a technology that's going to help us keep the community safe, that's 100% something we need to look at to see how much it costs and how much and how we can incorporate it.
Yeah, you see how it goes on the front, has a little fork that comes out,
Right.
deployed, and then you can untether the string. So if you're taking rounds, you can untether, just reverse out of there. But this thing here, it seems as though the threshold doesn't need to be as high as homicide, robbery, because you tether to the vehicle. It's not going to spin. It just goes to the back wheel and grabs on, and it's stopped right there. So it seems like that middle ground that we're missing, right? So pit maneuver, you spin it, it might hit a bus bench that people are on.
It might kill the bad person.
It might kill the bad person. They're gonna flip, right? So it has to be very precise. If you don't hit it correct, it might knock it off course and go flying. So there's a lot to boom right on the back, little kiss on the butt, boom, and now you get over here. You ever seen the Mortal Kombat? Boom, it's tethered. Something to think about. Not sponsored, okay, but I just.
But listen, this is where technology can come into play, but from someone who's been in car chases,
yeah,
it's very hard to get that close to the car getting away to be able to do that.
Yes.
So it's not a guaranteed tool that just because we have it means that we're going to stop every single chase.
Right.
It's a tool that we could use.
Exactly. It might not use it 100% of the time,
Correct.
but I've been in plenty of myself that I was like, man, if I had that, it would have stopped it right away because the vehicle's stolen. It's not running yet. You slowly come up behind it. The moment you put on its light, it takes off, but you accelerate to hit that, and you stopped it within 15 miles an hour.
Correct.
Yeah.
But you also know that if they're running, it's
yeah.
very hard to get that close.
Yeah. All right. Well, this is where I'll agree to disagree. No, I'm just kidding. If they're running at a high rate of speed, it's really hard to catch up, and that's why police chases are super dangerous.
Correct.
They're going to end in, they're going to crash, they're going to wreck out, you might wreck out, or they're going to get away.
I've seen it too many times where they've crashed and killed or hurt innocent people. So it's something that it's very dangerous.
All right. So
it's not as fun as you see in TV and the movies.
Yeah, I agree with that. I gotta agree with that. So there's the street takeover stuff. Moving on. Okay. So active shooters, critical incidents, active killer incidents. Recently, as of recent, we had Marjorie Stoneman Douglas up in Broward. Yes. Horrific event. But as sheriff, how do you plan on reducing that possibility from happening, one, and then just stopping if it does, right?
See, as a sheriff, that's a two-part question,
yeah,
Nick, because as a sheriff, you're not establishing policy.
Right.
So you can't say the sheriff is going to go there and eliminate these incidents. All you can do is make sure your officers are well-trained and well-trained and well-prepared.
Okay.
And they have the tools to be able to take immediate action to stop them. I think that what the bigger issue is we need better mental health programs. We need the government to provide services for the mental health, because there's a lot of times when you look at these incidents, they're young adults or kids that were never able to get services to be able to address the issues that we're going through.
Right.
So if you look at it as a policy type of situation where we need a better mental health program, that's what could lower a lot of these incidents. But as a sheriff, we need to make sure that our officers are well-trained, well-equipped, and well-prepared to take immediate actions to stop this. Okay.
And strategy in regards to maybe hardening up some soft targets or
of course.
Of that nature?
But what's going to be the next target? And that's what makes it so difficult.
Yeah.
I know the schools have done a lot and the universities have done a lot to harden their facilities.
Yeah.
But what's the next facility? What's the next location that this is going to occur? You can't predict that. All you can do is train and be ready.
Okay. I like it. So recently, as of July, you're a law guy. New gun laws just came into effect where you don't need a concealed weapons permit anymore to carry.
Okay.
Do you see that affecting law enforcement as a whole in South Florida right now? And how do you see that affecting, officers from doing their day-to-day jobs?
I don't think it's going to be much of a difference affecting the officers' day-to-day jobs. The officers just need to understand that there's going to be people out there carrying guns and take those precautions when they have interactions with these individuals. I think the bigger issue is people need to understand that they still need to be trained.
Yeah.
And maybe working with some type of private organization where we can provide free training to the individuals buying weapons so they understand how to better handle it and how to better secure it so their cars aren't broken into, their homes aren't broken into, and these guns get taken. Yeah. I am all for somebody having the right to carry a weapon, but at the same time, the majority of the people getting injured by weapons are to themselves or to a loved one because they were cleaning a weapon or whether mishandling a weapon or whether it's misplaced type of weapon. We need to be able to educate them so they can better handle that weapon.
I think to add to that, something that might be good, become sheriff to implement education as far as, one, we have to educate the officers on the law, right?
Correct.
This, that, and the other. Like, this is new. Anybody can kind of now carry a gun. However, there are still restrictions, just as though the concealed weapon you weren't allowed to carry in certain locations, right?
Correct. Yeah, you still can.
Right.
Those laws will still apply.
But you don't need a concealed weapon.
You don't need a concealed weapon, but just because
need to be educated,
you can't go into a church,
Yes.
you can't go into a school, you can't go into a government building. So that area of the law still applies. You just don't need the actual card anymore.
How do you know that if you're just Joe Schmo?
And that's where the education and the training comes into play.
Exactly.
And that's why we need to promote that.
What about also for the betterment of the entire community, right? Law enforcement and community coming up with in that program how to deal with a law enforcement officer and some things that we suggest, hey, it's good to so-and-so that maybe it just doesn't throw the situation out of hand, right?
I think where you start doing that is in high schools.
Right.
And start teaching the kids that are growing up and start becoming adults on how to best interact with law enforcement, and at the same time selling how great law enforcement is so they can become cops when they become adults.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very good program to have with the local school systems.
All right. We're going to continue moving on after this break. We're going to talk about technology and AI, artificial intelligence. We're also going to talk about holding officers accountable, right? Or holding the public accountable. So I got some questions coming up right after the break.
Okay, perfect.
Just wanted to take a second to let you know we are broadcasting from Feds Apparel. That's right, Feds Apparel, uniforming America. So if you have any uniform needs or if you need anything, go over, check them out at fedsapparel.com. I even have a little shop on there. You'll see some of my stuff. Scroll down and you'll see me, Nick Off Duty there. So go check it out, fedsapparel.com. All right, let's get back to the show. Putting the volume down a little bit. Guys, quiet down. All right. And we're back from break.
So we're gonna make the lights redder.
It's
Is it gonna get hotter?
It's still hot.
It's still hotter?
Still hot. I see you sipping on the water. First of all, you've been drinking that water because the seat is so hot for you. I even said,
Listen,
your wife
it's
came
only,
over,
it's
patted
only
you
half
down.
empty because my wife drank it.
Okay, all right, yeah. So you came, patted him down on break. We saw you. It's the hot seat. It's real hot. Let me guess, you were eating tacos for lunch. You did.
Hey,
you did have Tijuana Taxi.
Tijuana Taxi is an excellent place to go.
Phenomenal.
Yes.
Really good food, and I was telling you from the entire menu. One of our favorite places,
And
right?
a very good friend of mine owns Sushi Saki right around the corner.
Oh, Sushi Saki.
I like sushi.
She's a sushi. I'm not a fish guy. I don't eat seafood. I don't want to get into that. All right.
And you're Puerto Rican?
Yeah.
Italian. I'm sorry. The questions are for me, not for you. Go ahead.
Italian and Puerto Rican.
All right.
New Yorican. All right. Anyways. What happened?
It's just funny.
Okay.
I have your wife laughing.
You're supposed to laugh at my jokes. By the way, that's DJ Bay, the lovely assistant. Can I get a round of applause for her? There it is. All right. Got the ball. Hey, by the way, are you guys getting Teslas when you become
No.
no Teslas?
No.
No EVs?
It's a waste of money.
It's a waste of money?
It's too expensive.
Mhm.
You got to put too much of an infrastructure to support it. Where that's not a. Listen. We need to treat this department as a business, not as a government. Not what appears cute or what makes people feel good. We need to find efficiencies in this department because the biggest concern I hear on the street today is not enough cops on the road and not enough cops in investigations. And we need to find these efficiencies and put more classes and more officers on the street than getting a Tesla. It's crazy.
But usually, correct me if I'm wrong,
I am.
detectives or investigations, usually there's not enough detectives and there's not enough people on the road. Where do you pull from? Or is that recruiting?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Number one.
Mm-hmm.
When I left, we had 2 assistant directors and 4 division chiefs. Today we have 5 and 8. Why? The department hasn't grown because in 2008 we had 3,200 sworn officers. What do we have today?
Beats me.
3,300. And what's happened since 2008 to today? How much has the community grown? How many specialized units have we created? How many cities are we now protecting? We need to reallocate the resources, and rather than making it top heavy, making it bottom heavy, and put more people on the street, more people in investigations. It's not about raising taxes and raising budget. There has to be business efficiencies to be able to address those needs. And the community's tired. The community's tired of calling the cops. Listen, I'm lucky enough to live in Coral Gables. I love my neighborhood. I pick up the phone. They're there in 2 minutes.
Yeah. Shout out
When
to
you
Coral
live
Gables.
unincorporated in Miami-Dade County, I don't know how it is in the city of Miami. I don't know what your response time is. But you live in unincorporated Miami-Dade County, people are calling the cops waiting 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
My wife had a simple accident. She waited 3 hours for a cop to show up.
Yeah.
And that's because we're not putting the emphasis where the community wants it, which is people answering calls and people doing investigations. And we need to make people feel safe, and we need to understand that we need also to find new ways to reduce crime.
All right. And I like that. Segue right into the new way of finding to help reduce crime and new things. We're going to talk about technology.
Okay.
And the implementation of technology to
Like the example you just gave a little while ago with the tire.
the grappler thing,
Right.
and maybe even software or computer. I don't know. It's up to you, Sheriff,
Correct.
to bring in some new stuff, new tech, new equipment to help better the residents and the police officers of Miami-Dade County. So what are your plans? Do you have any plans on bringing in some kind of maybe tech, AI, something to come in and help?
You know, that's interesting, Nick, because I hear when other candidates call my supporters and they're saying, oh, we can't have somebody who's retired, or we cannot have somebody who's from the outside come in because they're going to change status quo. You know what? If you don't change status quo every single day and you don't innovate every single day, you're going to crash and burn as a business and as an organization. And this is a perfect example. This is interview number 2 here. You're getting bigger. You're buying new equipment. You're innovating every single day. Correct?
Correct.
The police department, the sheriff needs to do the same thing. We cannot stay status quo. And we need to continue looking at best practices that others are doing in order to be able to use technology to protect the Miami-Dade community. AI, I'm still a little uncomfortable with because it's too new.
Yeah.
And I see it a lot in the legal profession where lawyers are using AI to write briefs.
ChatGPTs.
The ChatGPT, they present it, and they get in trouble in the courts because the case that the ChatGPT came up with doesn't exist. So
true.
AI is still too early on.
Yeah.
But it's a tool that we can look at in the future. It could be it could be used to help us write PR messages. It has a lot of its uses.
Yeah.
But it's too early on to incorporate into the criminal justice. We got to use the technologies like what you just showed us in the prior segment.
Yeah.
Stuff like that to help make the job safer for our cops and for the community.
I like it. I think, like everything, ChatGPT has its place, right? But you always need that human double checking, looking. It's kind of good to set you up in a thing, but double check the work or set like a baseline, and then you can build off of that.
And understand that AI is as good as what you put into it.
Correct.
So if you're not putting into it the right things, and we just saw that with Google, a huge embarrassment with Google.
Yeah, saw that. You saw that?
Yeah. So that's why it's still too early on to be able to incorporate.
And what about like body-worn cameras and GPS? We're getting better with that, or you want more of that? You want less of that?
All the cars have GPS.
Correct.
And I think the body-worn camera has been huge for the simple reason that the complaints have fallen, because now you have a independent source verifying what's going on. So I think it's been good for the community and good for police work to have.
Yeah, I agree. And then moving on now to the next question.
I want to get something you disagree with me so we can have a good argument.
You want me to disagree with you?
Yeah. Come on, give me something to disagree with.
I don't know. Well, give me a little bit. No, give me a little bit, okay? Don't be down my throat already. I will get something.
All right.
The thing is, I don't know if you want this heat.
I'm challenging you.
You don't want the heat.
You don't want the heat.
All right.
All right, but we can do some disagreeing. Let's talk about body-worn camera stuff, right? So accountability for officers.
Yes.
This is something I want to move into, and it can be on both sides. It can be for officers or for the public. You're gonna go against the public, right? As a sheriff, at one time, there's gonna be times where you have to defend your officers, and I'm gonna walk it back and give you some examples. some footage comes out of an officer in a questionable shooting, right? And it's just the tail end. You have the BWC footage, the body-worn camera footage at your disposal because it's your officer. You got to review the footage, and you're like, hey, wait a minute. I got the whole story. This is, and it's still very preliminary, but from what I look at it, the narrative that's out is that this officer was, just killed the person. Which is true, but it could have been justifiable, right?
Okay.
So how do you go on, right? How do you go as sheriff and address these kind of situations that might arise? There might be a crowd forming in front of your police station out in the parking lot, and they want questions, and they want you to come up with answers, and they want the head of the officer on a stick. And I'm just saying that as an example. Obviously, they don't really want the head, or maybe they do. But how do you go about addressing that? How are you going to handle that situation when something like that happens? Do you have the head on a stick? Is that what you're going to pull up?
Yeah, no.
We're getting graphic. This went dark.
See, that's where experience comes into play,
Yes.
because there's numerous areas that you're bringing up there.
Mm-hmm.
Number one,
Unpack it, please.
it's very, very important that we have relationships with the community,
Mhm.
with different members of the community. There's going to be times that the community is going to be upset at what we do, and we need to be able to reach out to those community leaders who trust you, who has an open dialogue with you, so it can be discussed and we can relay it out to the community. At the same time, by being a practicing attorney, it is very important, like we provide criminals due process, we need to provide officers due process. And just a lot of times, and I get caught in it as well, where I might say on TV a 40-second clip and they use 3 words.
Yeah.
We need to relate to the community and make sure they understand that the officer is entitled to due process, and we need to give that officer that period in order to be able to, the investigation to play out and to be able to defend himself before a formal decision comes out. It's not going to happen in 2 days. It's not going to happen in a week. Statute requires for that to happen within 6 months. For administrative investigations and criminal investigations, you have more time, but you need to give the process time to work. That's why we need a strong state attorney, a strong investigative unit, independent investigative unit, looking at these allegations so the community can have trust in what's coming out. We cannot, again, manage by crisis and react to a crisis. We need to operate the crisis in order so the right thing occurs in the very end.
I want the officer's head on a stick. And we're not leaving your parking lot until you provide it.
And they have a right to demonstrate. They
Yeah.
have a right to express their thoughts. But again, you have to identify who that leader of that group is and have that conversation with them and let them understand. And if you've been doing this long enough and you have the relationships with the community long enough, they can understand this guy's real, this guy's not being dishonest with me. Let's trust the process.
Okay. And if they're getting a little rowdy?
They have the right to demonstrate.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you're talking about accountability. You're talking about integrity.
Right.
Guess what? Your actions are the ones that give you accountability and integrity, correct?
Absolutely.
And then why is it we have 7 candidates? They are on duty, being paid by the county salary, county car, county email, county phone, politicking on duty. Why isn't the community in an uproar that they're paying, that their taxes are paying for somebody to politic for this job? You want accountability, you want integrity, it begins with you. And it begins by your actions, and that's how you go get the trust from the community. And if you get the trust from the community, those are type of situations will be few in between. It will be very, very rare.
So you just delivered like 7 heads on a stick right now with that.
It's the truth, and this is not the first time I say it.
All right.
But the community needs to say something. If
Yeah.
your taxes, and I pay a lot of taxes where I live,
Mhm.
if your taxes are going to pay for somebody to run on duty, and the difference is that at 6 o'clock they go home to their wife and their family, what do? I go to my law practice because I got employees to pay. I got bills to pay. So I need to go work. So even though I might spend the whole day politicking, I still go to work. They go home because they get a paycheck every 2 weeks.
So, shots fired here on the Nick Off Duty podcast. Love it. Let's go into I got an example for you. We're going to move on. You delivered multiple heads on a stick just with that rebuttal, and thank you for that. We're definitely going to get some views on this episode.
Okay.
Now,
As long as they follow me
Where can they
As
follow
long-
you at? That's man. We should have said that in the beginning. Go
Listen,
ahead.
you're
Give
not
it.
helping me here, Nick.
Go ahead.
You gotta
You're
promote
here.
me. You gotta promote me.
I am gonna promote. What do you think this is? Go ahead. What do you got? Go ahead. Where can they find you?
Listen, I got one more thing to add.
You love the shirt. I know. You've been
No,
looking
no,
at
no,
it.
no, no,
What
no.
size? You want trade shirts?
I'm glad you brought the shirt up.
Yeah.
Because how many posters are we seeing people in uniform that aren't even cops anymore? They're promoting themselves as a cop when they retired or they left the department years ago.
Are you?
No, we're talking about accountability. You see me in a suit every time we're out there in a photograph. How many pictures we see out there with people in uniform that are not even with the department anymore? You're misleading the public, and that's where accountability and integrity comes into play. But where do you want to follow me?
We're gonna disagree. You want to be? Oh, where can I follow you first, and then we're gonna disagree.
Let's talk about this.
Let's talk about it. So
if I left in 2017, why am I going to put a poster of me being in uniform when I'm no longer a cop? The community's going to think, oh, that's a police major still out working. No, I left 7 years ago.
So so you're not supposed to talk about your former career,
100%. But I'm not going to put a picture on a poster
and why not?
because that's not me anymore.
But it was you, and you're
Seven-
running.
seven-
But you were running on your experience. You're running on everything that you
Then
did.
put on there retired on the picture.
Okay. You know what? I'll
Put
give you halfway.
Put something that doesn't mislead the community, thinking you're still working in that role. Put retired real big, so everybody knows that's a retired picture.
Okay. I'll give you. I'm gonna meet you halfway on that. Because if you were also former military or something, you can put.
If you're a judge and you're a former military, you cannot appear in your uniform. It's misleading the public.
What about a sheriff?
And as a matter of fact, 2 years ago, a judge candidate got in trouble for doing. They got fined.
What about sheriff? Judge?
Sheriff is an exception, believe it or not. There's a Florida ruling already that since a sheriff is on 24/7, they can appear in uniform because they're always on duty. But that's a on-duty sheriff. You talk about people that have been retired.
Yeah.
If I was retired 6.5 years ago, to be exact, by what you're saying earlier today.
Yeah.
If I retired 6.5 years ago, I put myself as a major on the wall. If the community's gonna say, "Hey, he's still a cop," no, I'm not. Put on there and say you retired.
What about 2 photos,
Of what?
recent and past?
As long as
What
you
about
show, as long
variations?
as you show it's past,
And
I have no problem with that.
So you
But
have a
those-
problem with that somebody falsely mistaking that this person running is
it's
a
misunderstood.
current.
Right, correct, and that comes down to accountability and integrity.
So, okay. You know what?
But now let's go into the transition. You were talking about how can you learn more about me.
Let's do it, baby.
Ignacio Alvarez for Sheriff on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see videos on there. Number one, you're going to see the video of Al Palacio, which is the regional director of the Fraternal Order of Police, endorsing me.
I saw that.
You're going to see as recent as, that's why I'm not touching your cigars, but Perdomo Cigars, great friend, endorsed me just a couple of days ago.
Okay. Hey, Perdomo, you're welcome to put your cigars here, too. just donate
That's
some
a
cigars.
simple phone call. I'll call them and you guys can meet.
That's it.
And other individuals talking about who I am. The hardest thing you're going to have in this campaign is getting the message out about who the individual is.
Yeah.
So we're using Instagram, we're using LinkedIn for those people my age that don't look at
You need
Instagram.
to get up on the, well, actually, TikTok's getting banned, so.
Correct. So the Instagram, LinkedIn, you're going to see on there who I am and why I'm doing this. Please go on Instagram, Ignacio Alvarez for Sheriff. You can learn more about me and learn more about what people are saying about me.
I think, and as a suggestion, I would get on Facebook, too.
We are on Facebook.
Okay. So Facebook, Twitter, or
No,
X.
we're not on Twitter. We're not X. I'll give you a simple reason. We're doing the PR ourselves. We're saving money. We're not
But
here.
Twitter is free.
Yeah, I know that. But if you had a full-time PR person be able to do that, if I had a county salary where I had free time all day long to do this, I would do all these social media platforms. But guess what? I can't. I got to run a business.
Yeah.
My wife has to run a business. So we got to run
Yeah.
for this campaign and run the business at the same time. So I wish I had the time to do all those platforms. I don't. So that's why go on Instagram, Ignacio Alvarez for Sheriff.
Well, I can ask you. Yes, go. All the listeners, if you're watching this, listening to it out in podcast land, go there, follow, and then is there a place where they can donate to the campaign as well?
Absolutely. That's a great question.
Yeah.
And thank you for being or agreeing to do a donation.
Yeah.
www.ignacioalvarezforsheriff.com, and you'll see the donation button in the top right corner.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if it's $5 or $500. Everything helps.
Where can we donate this podcast? Is that because that's going to be we're donating the podcast?
I'll add a link for that.
Yeah, add a link for that. We'll put it in the deposit there. So, question now that might be on because you're a working man, right?
Yes, sir.
This is a big question, and you know where I'm going with it.
I have no idea.
You don't know where I'm going?
No.
You're elected sheriff. What do you do with your firm?
Oh, that's a good question. Right now, a lot of people talk about, hey, how much money have you put into your campaign account? This is not about putting money into the campaign account. This is me putting money into my law firm in lost opportunities and having to hire somebody to take my place so I can spend more time out there getting my message out. So what we're going to do is hire somebody to take my place.
Yeah.
And when I win, that will continue operating, but I won't be involved anymore. It will. The firm has been established. The firm is running very well. Let the new person manage the firm and continue operating the firm.
Yeah. Just a question, right?
Correct. It's a question the public needs to know.
Yeah.
You cannot do sheriff in any other role. Sheriff is going to be a 24/7 job.
Maybe.
And I'm going to give it 24/7.
Yeah. Maybe even more than that. I don't know if that's possible, but yeah, you know what I mean.
Correct.
So with that, I think we're going to take a short break.
Another one?
Yes, it's our last break.
Okay.
Okay, because we got to get our Perdomo commercial in there. We're running on no budget here either. You know what I'm saying? We're putting money into this business. So
So you feel me?
yeah, I feel you. It's the grind, baby.
Yes, it is.
It's the grind, though. But if we want it, we're willing to grind.
Correct.
Just started a new channel called Nick Off Duty Presents Clips. 5 to 7 minute long clips, just the meat and potatoes. So if you want to, go over and subscribe there, and then that will kind of give you a preview of what the long episodes are going to be like. So go over there now. Nick Off Duty Presents Clips. Check it out. Back to the show.
That was a beautiful commercial about Perdomo, by the way. I really enjoyed that.
You got it.
So Perdomo cigars, great cigars, guys.
Sound effects. You got to be... By the way, they're not labeled. So those, just so you know, the audience is listening. They're not labeled. They're just blank buttons. We haven't
what a
labeled
coincidence,
them.
right?
I'm still learning.
She's still learning.
Yeah.
So, anyways, yes, by all means, if those cigars can get here, we will do a commercial. We're wrapping up here, and then we want to just leave on some final thoughts here. But before we wrap up, there was a recent incident that just, as you notice, the lights are still red. So we're still in the hot seat, okay? You guys pay attention to the water bottle. It's slowly going down. I got him.
Yeah, I'm going to help you. Go ahead.
Okay, so recently, AT&T, huge outage that just happened with services, even affected some local PD's call centers. So they were not able to receive 911 calls for a short period of time. But let's just say that can happen not only with an outage, that can also happen with like a hurricane or something along that, where you can't reach the police. I don't know how tuned in you are with the overall national politics and the concern of something looming. I'm not a conspiracy guy, but I have my eyes open and I see things happening. So that maybe something might happen as far as power grid or some kind of attack or something going on. It's election. Let's just leave it at this. It's elections. After last elections, everyone's kind of like, what's going to come our way, right? So how do you as sheriff prepare, right? Also navigate a situation where there's no power. And I said the election thing because they mentioned something about a power grid going down or something. How do you plan to manage something like that, an emergency where the residents cannot communicate with the police or some kind of communication goes down?
And believe it or not, that happened in 2005. Back in the year when we had 4 separate hurricanes, like Hurricane Irma, and I forgot the names of the other 3.
Yeah.
Our systems went down. And it was a learning experience for the department where we started adding generators in all the districts, where we started putting hard lines in other districts, where we started using social media and emails to be able to, so citizens can reach out to us. And at the same time, having backup systems, not just AT. If you have AT&T, have Verizon, for example.
Yeah.
And that's where the relationships with the federal government and the state government comes into play, who can immediately come in and provide support to put up different mechanisms at play. When you look at the 9/11 system, there is systems where if Coral Gables, for example, goes down, it'll transfer to the county, or Hialeah will transfer to the county, or the county will transfer to a local county in order to have those systems go up. So it was a big learning effect back in 2005 when it occurred, and we've been able to put in mechanisms to prevent it from it occurring again, or having a backup system so we can immediately go back up so we can address the emergencies within the county.
Yeah, that's something. If you and again, I'm in tune with social media, and you're connected to the Wi-Fi, so you could still browse the internet. It's just
or have a simple hardline, the simple phone.
Yeah.
Back in our day, that's still connected to the telephone line, where you can pick up and make a phone call, and it's not connected to any of these systems. All the stations have that now. We had that back then when this occurred.
Yeah, and that's something, like you say, it occurred in 2005. You're saying. But now it just happened, and maybe some people were younger, right, in 2005, or they were kids, and now they're a little bit older.
Right.
2005 is almost 20 years ago. So
Thank you for making me feel old.
Yeah.
But I was a lieutenant at that time, and we were dealing with that situation during the hurricane.
Yeah, I was in college, I think. Yeah, I was in college.
Right.
But anyways, the community, I think more so proactively has to be informed of these kind of situations. So, and what I mean by that is I'm just making some recommendations. Your PR team, the people that are communicating with the community's got to be proactive about situations like that.
Correct.
This is what you got to do. The hard phone thing, the hard line, perfect example. That's something that I did a video educating the community. Hey, this is some things you can do if your service is ever down. You need to call 911, and hard line was one of them.
Right.
So I think proactive approach and educating is a good.
But the reality of it is, Nick, technology is changing so fast.
Yeah.
What are we going to have next year?
Yeah.
That we're not even thinking about today.
Yeah.
So we have to have systems in place and training in place to address situations that change. Again, innovating every single day.
Yeah.
You can't be 100% bulletproof.
Yeah.
But you can try to minimize the effect when something does occur by thinking about possible situations and having responses in place. So, and we do that through training and emergency management all the time, so we can respond to these type of events.
So so emergency management trainings and things. I guess that would be your selected team to, almost like good to have a team going out and just figuring out what's the newest stuff happening. How can we integrate it into?
And we have that now.
Yeah.
In 2008, 2009, I was in charge of emergency management training for the command staff, and you're constantly looking at what the best practices are out there to be able to incorporate them or see what happens in other communities, so you can learn from those, from the after action report, learn how they handled it, so we can be ready for it. And we at least back then, we did that all the time. Read the after action reports and different events through what occurred in Broward or what occurred in the rest of the United States, so we can learn from them and be better prepared.
Yeah, one of the, actually in Boston, the Boston bombing marathon.
Correct.
The way they, and shout out to Boston PD, the way they handle it through Twitter. So, and I'll tell you how real quick. They were going house to house looking for the offenders.
Right.
And the news was broadcasting the SWAT team moving from house to house live.
Yep.
So Boston PD goes on Twitter and is like, "Hey, channel so and so, how about you not show our guys going and putting their lives in danger?" So then they had to cancel the broadcast.
Correct.
But they used social media because that's where everything was happening, and that was their PIO. It wasn't that official statement, but it was, everyone, this is the people that we're looking for. Everybody stay clear of this area. And it was updates through Twitter. And I know you're not, I have no stock in Twitter, but it's a good thing for police departments to use.
Today's
live
Twitter.
updates. Yeah.
What's going to be tomorrow? Life changes.
Yeah.
With this type of technology.
Yeah.
Hey, I was reading this weekend that AI will be smarter than us in 5 years, or at least that's what Elon Musk is saying.
Less than that.
Right. So what do we have tomorrow that we can use? We just gotta continue learning, and what are the best practices out there to be able to incorporate and keep this community safe.
What do you say we turn the temperature back down and get off the hot seat?
Okay.
Good idea.
I got the lights right here. We're back to cool. You made it. You survived. Or did you? Let the audience down below let us know. Okay, now that I got the lights out of the way. So, what else? I mean, we were talking a little bit about the grind, right?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's all about hard work and real successes.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a perfect example talking about social media that
Yeah.
you just brought up that I was just thinking about. You have candidates out there that will follow 10,000 people to get 2,000 followers and say, look, I'm leading in followers.
Yeah.
That's a fake success.
Hmm.
Yeah, I might have 600-700 followers, but I'm out there knocking on doors, earning each one of those followers. And why is that more successful than those fake 2,000? Because those people are interacting, they're paying attention. And that's what I want. I'm not going to give this community fake successes. I'm going to work hard to make sure we achieve our goals and we celebrate our goals by having a safe community.
All right. So, day one, you're now the sheriff, and you have 2 speeches, or you're going to give 1 speech. You can, right? You got the community and you got your troops. What's the message we're sending? Or is it a unified message? It's going to be
a
same
unified message.
unified message?
Because we need to work with the community to have a safe community.
All right. So, here we go. And action.
It's going to be a law and order message.
Okay, go.
We're here to support our officers. We got your backs. Go out there and do your jobs. And the communities, we're going to reach out to a community, reach out to the leaders of each community. And what I always say throughout the campaign is listen, learn, and lead. We have to listen to the members of the community and the business leaders and the politicians, learn what the issues are, and lead. And that's what I'm going to do starting day one.
All right. And where can they find you again?
Instagram, Ignacio Alvarez for Sheriff. Please follow me. Please go on there, look at the videos, and you're going to see more about our campaign events and what I'm doing to be your next sheriff.
All right. And what do you say? Debate, huh? A little debate action.
We have like 3 or 4 debates coming up. Channel 10 is doing one with AFL-CIO. We have ACES, a security group that's doing one. We have Miami-Dade that's doing one in June. And there's one more out there. There's like 4 already scheduled.
So
I think the Republican Party mentioned to me yesterday they're going to do one as well. So it's going to be 4 or 5 in the next 3 months.
okay.
And I think that's where I'm going to shine, and the public is going to start realizing that I'm the best prepared, best educated, and the person best prepared to be sheriff day one.
All right. One of those debates I'm going to be moderating, just a FYI.
Ah.
That's right.
And you're going to have an empty notebook so I
No.
can't read what the questions
It's
are?
going to, yeah, actually, I have it. Yeah, it's UV light that I go like this
All right,
every now
all
and
right,
then
all right,
so you
all
can see the. But, anyways, anything else you'd like to add? I
No,
appreciate you coming on the podcast.
It's a
Trading
pleasure.
Blows.
It's a pleasure to be up here. I thought the questions would be harder, but that's fine. And I'm looking forward to the next invite so
Mhm.
we can have further discussions. On a serious note, this position is the sheriff position is too important.
Yeah.
We need to take this serious as a community. We need to educate ourselves. We need to go out there and read up on every single candidate. See what the qualifications are. Get behind a candidate and go out and vote on August 20th. The community has their opportunity to pick their sheriff, and if we pick a bad person, it's on the community. So get out there, get educated, and go vote.
Iggy, thank you for your time. Thanks for coming by. An honor, my friend.
Thank you.
All
Likewise, Nick.
Got anything?
No, I'm good over here.
You want to hit a sound effect to end it?
That's perfect.
All right.